Okay, I think we're live. Caroline, will you double check that it's on? But hi, everybody. It's Heidi Hope, and it's FAQ Friday. Thanks for all your great questions today. We're going to get started right away. Before you do, just a reminder that you can find all the previous episodes of FAQ Friday on our YouTube channel or over on the learning site, HeidiHope.com/learning. And photographerrising.com. You can also sign up for our newsletter there, and I send the previous episodes out in the newsletter as well. Each week, you can find the call for questions on our Facebook page, the Heidi Hope Photography fan page. There's always a little call for questions picture. Today, I put the wrong picture up, but everybody still got the drift. So you can leave your questions right under the call for questions. I'm also now taking questions on Instagram. And I prefer those because I'm trying to get everyone over on the Instagram party. So if you're not following me yet, my handle is at Heidi_Hope on Instagram, and follow me. I'll follow you back. I share lots of little bit of my everyday life. You'll see studio work. You'll see behind the scenes at my house, my kids' messy faces, stuff we're doing at the studio, traveling, all that sort of fun stuff, all in my Instagram stream there. So check that out, and you can leave your questions there. In fact, we're going to start with an Instagram question today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. Let's see. Okay, so this question is from Bloom So Bright. Hi, Heidi. Let's see. My question is, how do you do it all, girl? Well, you accomplish so much. Photography, writing. Hold on. I can't get the whole thing. Let's see if I can find it. I had it pulled up earlier, and I lost it on you. Sorry about that. But I think the gist of the question was, how do you do it all? So the answer is, I have a lot of help. And I learned early, well, not early on, I would say 2 or 3 years into my business, I learned to try to give up the things that either I wasn't good at or were too time consuming with not enough of a return. And that goes for things at home as well as at the studio. So we have a whole staff here, which is awesome. And my husband, Sean, helps me run the business. So a lot of the administrative tasks that a lot of people get bogged down with in being a business owner, he helps handle a lot of that and takes that off of my shoulders, which is nice. And we have help at home too. I have help with my kids. we have a house cleaner come every other week. I get my groceries delivered. We have someone who mows our lawn. So those are all things that could really take a lot of time away, but we work so much that when we're home, I don't want to spend my time doing all that stuff. I want to spend my time seeing my kids because I'm working at least full time, if not more, during the week. So we tend to outsource some of those things that we can afford for other people to do. And I've even heard of people, one of my friends, Kelly Branson, she always says that once she got busy with her business, she would have like a high school kid come over and pay them to help her fold all the laundry, just because things like that take so much of your time. And if you can be investing that time into your work instead, what's it worth for you to outsource some of that stuff so that you have help? So the truth is, I don't really do it all. I definitely have lots of help, and I'm grateful for that. Great question. Thank you for that. Okay. Sorry, I couldn't read the whole thing on air. I just couldn't get it to pull. You know how Instagram chops the comments sometimes? That's what that was doing for me. But let's go to our questions that were submitted on Facebook today. So we'll get started on those. I'm going to reach into our bag here and pull the first one. This one is from Erica. Hi, Heidi. Great newsletter yesterday. Do you ever have different product lines for certain sessions, communions, seniors, your minis, or do you have the same collections and a la carte offerings applying to all sessions? Thanks, and have a great weekend. So a little kind of both. So it depends. Sometimes we do seasonal specials that are sort of all-inclusive sessions. So those have different package options. And around the holidays, we'll do different packages that, just have more cards in them, for example, where if we're doing a session like that in the spring, people aren't going to want 100 cards. So we do have different offerings for things like that. And then for smaller or shorter sessions, we also have some smaller, shorter package options, where when people do a longer session with us, if it yields 75 images, well, that's going to be a really different type of package than a session that's a 10 to 15 image gallery. They're not going to want to be buying the same stuff or investing the same amount as somebody who's got a 75 image gallery. So we do have different packages to cater to different types of sessions, especially like any of the shorter or like holiday type sessions. So great question. Thank you. Okay. I'm reaching the bag here. Let's pull another one. This one is from Heather. Do you give thank you gifts to your clients? If so, what do you gift them? What we have done in the past, Heather, is we've actually done thank you events for our clients. So we've done little parties, like we've done Mommy and Me party where you got a free portrait. We do gift items, which are, when they order in person at the ordering appointment, they get little thank you items for doing that. And, we've done like 8x10 organic bloom frames, and we've done digital app. We've done little like note cards or play date cards. So we've tried all sorts of different stuff, and it changes over the years. We've just changed stuff to keep it fresh. And then the events have been really popular too, which is just sort of to thank our whole client base. All right, let's pull another one. Wow, we're blowing through these this week. Okay, this one's from Lindsay. What advice do you have for a new photographer just starting out? Love all of your photography. I hope I can one day attend one of your workshops. That would be great, Lindsay. I'd love to meet you. So that's a loaded question. I have so much advice for photographers starting out. One of the things that I so often speak about, because it's something that I struggled with in the beginning of my business, I sort of started just, with a love of photography and I never seriously thought of it as a business in the beginning. I was just sort of like, oh, I just want to make a little extra money on the side. So I didn't do a lot of business planning in the beginning, but it wasn't until I finally did set aside time and plan my business that my business became manageable for me. So I was really in over my head in the first year or so. And I always thought like, I can just get by on my photography. And I do believe back then to a certain extent you could, because it was a totally different market. So I did okay in the beginning, but eventually I did have to change and I had to plan. And I think I would have saved myself so much trouble, and I would have saved myself years of burnout and making a lot of mistakes had I just planned everything in the beginning. So my advice to people starting out is to pay attention to your business. If you want it to be a business, pay attention to your business as much as you're paying attention to honing your photography skills. I think that's especially important now. It wasn't even as important when I started because the field was much different 6 years ago. But there are just so many talented photographers out there, which is a wonderful, beautiful thing. I think it's awesome that I think more people love photography than ever before. I think there are more potential customers than there ever were before. People are seeking professional photographers more than ever because it's so much more mainstream and popular than it was even 5-6 years ago. So I think all of those things are great for our industry. But I think what makes it difficult is to stand out from all of that because everyone's talented and everyone's taking good photos. So how do you build a business that can actually be sustainable in a market like that? And that's where I think having the business side comes in. And that's why I'm so passionate about teaching business. And I was an art and photography teacher at the high school level. For those of you who don't really know my whole story, I started as an art and photography teacher. So of course I'm passionate about the arts, but I think that they can only take you so far if you choose to be an entrepreneur. And I think the business side of things is what can really make you or break you in this industry or in any industry, really, any business that you start. You could love to cook, but that doesn't mean you're going to be a good restaurant owner. So paying attention, thinking of it from a business perspective. And you know what? Most of us aren't trained in business. I think the people who really are successful off the bat often have a business background, and a lot of people that you probably learn from or that you see online that have super successful businesses, they probably did have a business background, a lot of them. And that's what gives them such an edge with being a business owner. But if you didn't have that training, that's why I'm so passionate about teaching that, because I think so many photographers, and I'm included in that, did not have a business training. I'm thankful my husband Sean did. He comes from a finance background, and I've always been really drawn to marketing. So I've studied a ton of business and marketing just because I find it pretty fascinating. But I think that, yeah, my advice would be pay attention to the business, take just as many business courses as you take photography courses, because I think the business is what can really set you apart in this industry, and ultimately is a really important piece of success. So great question. Thank you for that. Okay, let's reach in here. This one is from Kimberly. Hi, Heidi. Easy question for you. ISO, manual, or auto? Are there situations where one is better than the other? Actually, this is a great question because I often talk about how sometimes I do stuff on auto and sometimes I do stuff on manual for exposure, let's say, for like aperture priority or versus manual, and even for focus. Sometimes I do autofocus, sometimes I do manual. For white balance, sometimes I use auto white balance, sometimes I use manual. Whatever situation, one works better than the other. ISO is the one thing that I always set manually because I don't like my camera. I want to just set it myself based on my situation. And I want to keep it as low as I possibly can while still having my shutter speed in the range that I want and having my aperture the size that I want. So I'm always going to manually set my ISO. Even if I'm shooting an aperture priority, I manually set my ISO, then I set my aperture, and then I let the camera set my shutter speed for me. Or I'm just shooting in complete manual exposure where I set my ISO, then my aperture, then my shutter speed, and have full control over all three. So those are kind of the two, but I'm always manually setting my ISO. I never leave my ISO to auto, actually, ever. So great question. Thank you. All right, let's pull another one. I feel like I'm moving right through these this week. Thank you guys all for these great questions. Okay, Danielle asks, what did you use for your photo wall in your studio? That is from easywalls.com. And it's easy spelled with a Z. Is it just the letter E and the letter Z, or is it easy spelled like the word easy spelled with a Z?
No, I believe it's just easy.
Okay, it's the letter E, the letter Z. Walls with a Z too, right?
I
don't know. Well, anyways, so I think if you type in easy walls, you'll find it. So yeah, they're cool. They're like hanging wall murals, and we love them. They're very popular. And I have seen a lot of workshop attendees do similar stuff in their studio, and they come out really cool. So it's fun for me. If you end up getting them, send me a picture of what they look like. Okay, let me pull another one here. This one is from Katie. Hi, Heidi. Here's my question. I'm still a one-woman show and saving up to be able to outsource any parts of my workflow. When I finally can afford it, what should I outsource first? Editing, blogging, house cleaning, etc. Oh, this kind of ties into our first question. I do love this one, and I get asked it often. My advice for what to outsource first. Well, first thing, I think of two things. I think of what am I not good at, or what do I hate to do, as number one. And then number two, what is not profitable. So some things within my business or, at home or whatever, some things are either very expensive to outsource or are just much more profitable if I do it myself. So for example, within the studio, the most profitable thing I can do is shoot. So when I'm shooting sessions, that's bringing in the most money for the studio. So the first couple things I started outsourcing were support tasks so that I could shoot more. So editing was one thing. If you're not comfortable outsourcing editing, because editing can be, I actually had somebody on staff and I taught them how to hand edit the photos. So that ended up working out pretty well for me. Then now I do more of my editing than I used to do because I've gotten much faster at it. So it just sort of depends. Now we outsource a lot. Well, so we've hired help for a lot of the administrative stuff. Caroline, our graphic designer, does the back end product production stuff because that used to be so time consuming for me, like to design an album, for example. I could shoot 2 sessions in the time it would take me to design an album. And shooting 2 sessions would bring in much more money than sitting and designing an album. So those were kind of the types of things within my business that I started outsourcing. I thought about either, what's not giving me enough of financial return for the amount of time that I'm investing. Those are the things I want to outsource. I also think it's a good idea to outsource your weaknesses. Like one of my weaknesses is cleaning my house every week. So it just was a peace of mind for me. and it's not something I enjoy anyways. So it's worthwhile for me to hire someone to clean my house, because for the amount of money, again, for the amount of hours it would take me to clean my house from top to bottom, I could add in one more session per week. So think about the things that you don't enjoy doing, and think about the things that are not giving you a good return for your time. And those are the things I would start outsourcing first. Especially when it comes to your job, when you're in a creative field like photography, you want to stick to the tasks that you really love. And that helps you avoid burnout, and it helps you be really good at what you do, because you love that stuff for a reason. You're passionate about it because it's stuff that you're born to be doing, right? It's things that you're naturally inclined to do, that you have fun doing. Those are the things you're best at. So try to outsource. I think the more you can work within that zone of the things that you love to do and get rid of the other stuff, the more successful you'll see your business become. And don't think that there's any one right way to run a business either. I think that there's so many different business models that can work right now. I mean, the internet and the whole online world and technology has really opened up the doors for what a business can be. So you can make your business be anything you want it to be. If there's an element of your business that you loathe, that you hate, I mean, there are some things you have to do, like you have to pay your taxes. Okay. So that kind of stuff, just because you hate it doesn't mean you can get away with not doing it. But you could hire a bookkeeper and an accountant. So like the more of that you can take off your plate, the better, right? I always see posts around tax time of photographers that are like, oh my God, I've got to get all my tax stuff. It's a nightmare, blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm lucky for two reasons. Sean does the bookkeeping every month, but we also have a bookkeeper from our accountant come in quarterly, and then annually we meet with our accountant. So we're never, but by like December, we have our taxes done by December every year. The very end of the year, like all the paperwork is done. In January, we sign everything, and our taxes are filed early. So that's one of those things that you can, you know, if you really hate to do it, it does still need to be done. Definitely try to hire help, and you know, try to build your business up gradually so that you can afford help in those areas. So before you have any money for help too, you can think about interns. You can think about using your children to help with certain jobs. Actually, like my daughters love crafting. So I had Juliana helping me make decorations for a cake smash, and she thought that was like the most fun thing in the world. And she was so proud. Helping to do them. So you can always find help, and certainly kids in your neighborhood, like high school kids or whatever, might want some extra cash. Where you don't have to pay them $15 an hour, you know, for doing either little things around your house or small things within your business too. Okay. Ooh, great question. I'm going to take one more today, and our time is already up. So we're going to pull one more question. If I didn't get to your question this week, please resubmit it for next week. So you can always keep an eye on our Facebook page every Friday. Right under the picture, repost your question. I try to get to all the questions that I can. And if I missed it this week, I'll put it, you know, at the top of the list next week. So check that out. Okay. And one more reminder before I read the last question here. The 3 payment plan option for the Photographer Rising retreat ends today, and for the Photographer Rising online workshop. So if you want to do the 3 payment plan, go to photographerrising.com and check out those options. You want to register for that today if you want those 3 payment options. After today, we'll still be down to the 2 payment option and the regular full payment option if you want to do it that way. The in-person retreat is over halfway sold out. It is going to be amazing. We keep planning awesome stuff. I have an interview with Mary to share with you guys next week too. But it's going to blow your mind. It's so cool. All the sessions we have planned, and the food and the fun. So definitely get over there and check on that if you haven't seen that yet. And Photographer Rising, the online workshop, is almost full as well. That's a 1-week course. It's super business heavy. It's really building your business from the ground up. And whether you've been in business 1 year or 15 years, you will benefit from the course. It's definitely a great overhaul of everything photography related. And we're an open book on how we run our business here. So, okay. there's my spiel. Let's read the last question here from Sarah. Can you recommend a salon in Rhode Island for hair and someone who does makeup as well? I love your hair and I need a hairstylist. Oh, good question. My hair is really getting a lot of buzz. I think it's the prenatal vitamins because there was a question last weekend too. So we love Salon KG. They're right in Patuxent Village where our studio is. I'm assuming you're local, Sarah. So Salon KG is great. My hairstylist is at Magnolia Salon in Cranston, Ashley, and everyone calls her Dion. I think you just ask for Ashley when you call. She's awesome too. And Kristen from, is it Luniac Glamour still? No, yeah, it is. Okay. From Luniac Glamour. She does a lot of stuff for our boudoir sessions. She's amazing too. Okay, so you can check all them out. All right, well, thank you for all the wonderful questions this week. I hope you all have a good weekend. Don't forget to go over and visit HeidiHope.com/learning, sign up for our newsletter. And if you liked this video, please give me a little thumbs up or leave a comment underneath so that I know I'm not talking to myself. Have a good weekend, everyone. Bye.